This is just a pop-up live I decided to do just to see. Never really done one before. I did a test a while ago. Since I got a new computer, I can do this kind of stuff now. So we'll see how this works. See if anybody comes in. I'll hang out here for a little bit, and if nobody comes in, then well, I'll shut it down. Hey, what's going on, JB? Jason, what's going on? Oh, I'm experimenting with lives. Since I got a new computer, I got a camera on it. I could actually do live streams now. So, can you guys hear me? Good deal. Great. It's one thing I don't have to try and overcome. I'm not very computer savvy at all. So what's everybody into? Hey, first responders here. LP94. So what projects did everybody have going on this weekend? I spent all day today working on Firebird. Got the whole back of the car in epoxy. Knocking up the shifter. It sounds like fun. Is that an automatic in that first? I think you told me it was an automatic. Went fishing, JB. Nice. But are you putting a ratchet shifter in it first? Hey, Colleen. Yeah, the GM Nationals this weekend at Carlisle. And it was going to go up, but it ended up pretty much being a washout. I was going to take the Chevy up, but that just didn't pan out. Thanks, LP. It's getting there. I'm hoping to have it in paint here real soon. Bodywork is not my forte. I can do it, but I don't like it. Mm. So the whole weekend was pretty much a rain out here. Even today it rained, which kind of sucked for the GM show at Carlisle. So this is they've been doing this for having that show for about 20 years, and this is the only the second one I missed. So put a star shifter in it. They still make the star shifter B&M. God, that's old school. Oh, the star shifter. That was even before the mega shifter. What'd you go fishing for today, JB? You go trout fishing or catfish? Excuse me. Whatever's biting. Hey, Rich, what's going on? What's happening, man? You heading up to Carlisle, Rich, in 2 weeks? Pick up parts for your Challenger? Cool. Good deal. I know you had a pretty big shopping list last year. Bumpers. You got to go to Tri City. Hey, what's happening, Eric? I don't know if Tri City's at the Chrysler show. I think they are. But they do trade ins, I believe. They're way better than Bumper Boy. Bumper Boys are bad news. Stay away from them guys. I've heard nothing but bad stuff about Bumper Boys. Oh, okay, AMD. Yeah, we'll be heading up. We'll be taking Tom's Coronet. He put air conditioning in that. He put a vintage air unit in it, so now he's got air conditioning. So they're guys from California, Eric. They do bumpers. And they usually show up at these shows with like a big semi truck, and the whole truck is just jam packed full of bumpers. I think they're out of California, but it seems like everybody that's gotten bumpers from them, I've just heard lots of horror stories about chrome peeling after a year or real shoddy work on them. They're at Carlisle quite a bit. Yeah, they are. I've known guys that got bumpers from them a year later, the chrome's peeling off, or they start to rust or something. No, I'm not doing Power Tour. Power Tour's over. That was last week, I think it was, Eric. Hey, Pure Pontiac. No, I'm actually after about a week after the No Name Nationals, I'm going to cruising the coast down in Gulfport. So I'll be leaving. I come back from the No Names, and then I'll work for like, I don't know, 4 days. And then I pack up the Chevelle and we head down to Gulfport, Mississippi. So, and we'll be down there for about a week. No, I've never been to Oregon, Eric. Furthest west I've ever been has been Arizona. I've been to Colorado. Never been to Utah. Yeah, Bumper Boy's out of California, Pure Pontiac. Although I'd like to go out there. I'd like to go out to Oregon. I like Colorado too. I've been there a few times. My uncle lived in New Mexico. So I've been to New Mexico, Oklahoma, and Texas. Yeah, have you heard of them, Pure Pontiac? There's not very many good things about them that I've ever heard. Yes, so I saw that stuff all on the internet, on all the videos on YouTube about that, Eric. That's pretty sad. Plus, during COVID, with all the riots and nonsense they had going on out there, it's kind of a shame. Yeah, they come in with their big tractor trailer, Pure Pontiac. Christ, I don't know how they stuff all those bumpers in that thing. That's a nightmare. Yeah, I guess it could always be worse, huh, Eric? How's the GTO coming, Pure? Chipping away at it. Yeah, it's not bad, Eric. I don't like winter, so the older I get, the more I dislike it. But it's pretty here in the fall with all the leaves changing and stuff. It's not bad. Governments, well, you know how state government is always corrupt in one way or another. Well, that's good, Pure. Making progress. Yeah, I grew up here. Oh, did you, Rich? Yeah, Tom put his in. Him and another friend of his put it in. His buddy actually had more experience with doing it. Um, but it's a nice system. It works good. That's a dehumidifier, Eric. I'm in the basement. But yeah, he's pretty happy with it. The one thing I don't like about it, now he got it actually for the car. Um, so it's a custom deal for the Cornet. But one of the things that they do is they run the hoses through one of the eccentric holes in the fender apron, and they actually run it through the wheel well, and then on the inside the fender actually, where the tire is, and then they run it into the firewall. You got to drill some holes to do that. I don't know if yours is like that or not. I thought that was kind of, I don't know. I didn't really dig that too much. Well, let's just say I've owned a Chevy, but I like all cars. Okay, yeah, that's kind of how his is. You put that big block off plate on there because the fan is actually in the unit that goes under the dash. So far, it's been working good. He hasn't had any problems with it. I just don't like how, because the heater hoses and the AC hoses both run right through that fender. And on those Chryslers, the tire, and there's no fender well like there is on a GM product. So you look up inside the tire and you're looking at the top of the fender. So I thought that was just kind of a crappy move on their part because he hit a road gator or something, and it's just going to go right through the damn lines. And then also what they do is they have a plastic heater control valve that goes down there, and it goes right at the back of the firewall. So Tom actually made a shield because when I saw that, I said to him, I said, man, I said, all you got to do is hit a rock. And it comes out of a tire. It's like a bullet coming out of there. And it's going to hit that hunk of plastic and it's going to blow that thing apart. So he made an actual metal shield to go around it so that, nothing hits it. So that was my only gripe with the whole system. I just didn't care for that at all. I know it makes a cleaner look and everything, but I think they could have executed a little bit better. That's just my personal opinion. Yeah, I paid $500 for it in 1987. Actually, it was in pretty good shape. It ran and drove and everything, Eric. The body was, it was starting to rust. It was 16 years old, so, and it was driven in winter in the north. So it was starting to rust, but it wasn't like junk, mean, it ran, drove it, state inspected. Yeah, back then, and well, still a lot of money back in the day. The interior was trash. The guy had a Beagle, and the Beagle would sit in the back seat, and it clawed its way right down through the freaking seat to the springs. So the back seat, you pretty much sat on the seat springs. And the front bench seat was so worn out, he had cushions and crap stuffed into it, and I could reach between my legs and touch the floor. That's how bad the bench seat was. So, but most of the interior is original. The seats were the only thing that were junk. And it ran. The guy couldn't tune it up. I worked at a Texaco station when I was in high school, and this guy, he bought the car brand new, and he brought it in on the hook one night because the fuel pump died, and so I guess he figured since he was going to put a fuel pump on it, he decided to tune it up. Well, he couldn't get. He was trying to set the timing on it, and he couldn't get it to set because he had run like Kendall or Quaker State, and it sludged up and it seized the distributor up. So it kept spitting back through the carburetor. So I worked with this other guy, Norm. Norm's like, run out there, tell me, give him $500 for it, because Ed, the guy that owned the car, he had wanted $1,000 for it. I thought that was too much money. So I went out and offered him $500, and he said sold. So I couldn't drive at the time. So I called my dad, and he came down, and we took it for a test drive and drove it around. It had a slight miss because the cam was starting to go bad in it. This was just a 307. And so I bought it, and the rest is history. But yeah, I'm the second owner of that car. He bought it brand new at Towson Chevrolet, Marsden Chevrolet in Towson, Maryland. I have all the paperwork on the car and everything. Not that anything's original on it anymore. The engine's gone, rear end and stuff like that. But I still have all the paperwork, the protecto plate, everything. It was funny because when you bought the car and it was a drum brake car, you got a little pamphlet in your owner's manual that told you how to stop a drum brake car and how you had to exercise a little bit more caution and forethought because of the drum brakes. And it's actually kind of funny. Yeah, Rich, is yours one that you got to program? Because another thing Tom had problems with is that his lost program, and he couldn't get the vintage air to work. Now he had to call them, and they were really decent about it, and they had to program it, reprogram it, and stuff, and they got it working again, and it hasn't lost program since. So I don't know. Like I said, it's a real nice kit. It really looks good in the car. You have a Chrysler. My wife has a Chrysler 200. She has a 2013, and I have a 2014 Chrysler 200. Hers is a four-cylinder. Mine's a V6. They're both junk. I don't like. The engines run good, but the actual build quality of the car is garbage. That's the get me to work and back car. Yeah, I drive them all year round. I call it the civilian car. Now, first responder, I don't have the 307 anymore. Um, I got rid of that a long time ago. I actually gave it to a guy, some kid I knew. He put it in his Nova. I did a lot of. I didn't have a lot of money at the time, so I was just a high school kid. So we stuck. When the cam actually went bad in it one night because I was out. I was going out to Pep Boys, and some guy in a Malibu, like a '76 Malibu or something. We got into it, and I raced him. And by the time I got to the end of the road we were racing on, it started tapping and missing. And it wiped the cam. It just collapsed the lifter. So we brought it home. It already had headers on it and stuff. So I brought it. I had put headers on it already, and I brought it home. And we pulled it all apart, and ended up putting a Crane had a sale on Blueprint cam, so I put a 350 horse cam in it, which was probably not the right choice, but it was cheap. It was like on sale for like $59.99 with the lifters and everything. And we put a double roller timing chain in it, a YN Action Plus manifold, and a guy he worked with had a 650 spread bore, and we rebuilt that and put that on it. It run pretty good. Yeah, I hear you, Eric. They're a pain. Open the box and put her in the corner. Wait patiently until everything else is done, Rich, and then put it in. Yeah, I know they're built like crap. Yeah, I hear you. Get all the important stuff done first, and then do that. It's a 450 Ford at Sport 60 over, Eric. I put 175,000 miles. Oh, that 307 had 175,000 miles on it when I pulled it out, and it hit $7,000 a couple times. The little 307 worked pretty good. It needed gears. It didn't have any gears in the back. It had 273, so it was pretty much a slug from like 0 to 30. But from 30 up, it would really turn on. I pissed off a lot of guys in 350s. I ended up putting a set of 202 heads on it, and ran it like that. Then it would really rev pretty good. But it still didn't have enough gear. It needed like 373s or 410s. It probably would have worked pretty good. And it got good gas mileage because it was such a little engine. But when you're in high school and you're working a job and paying for the car and paying for insurance and paying for gas, and you know, I'd have liked to put a 350 in it. Hey, ASO. But it just never worked out that way. Ended up going from the 307, and I ended up going from that to a 396. And that's what was in the Chevelle before I pulled it out. But the 307 ran. I mean, it ran pretty good when I pulled it out. It still ran good. It was a 350 turbo, Rich. It's actually the original transmission in the car, believe it or not. That's the only numbers matching part in the whole car. I had a transmission shop down here rebuild it for me, and they put extra clutch packs, thicker clutch packs in it, thinner piston with more. They could put more frictions and discs in it. And it's actually held up pretty well. It's been behind the 307, the 396, and now the 454. So, and that thing was built in 1991. It has back in the late 80s, early 90s, Hurst sold stall converters, and it has a Hurst 2400 stall in it. So, I've had the Firebird. It's going to be 4 years this month, and I found it in Allentown. I found it on Craigslist in Allentown. There's a. You look around, Eric. There's still Cougars out there. I was looking at one tonight. I think they wanted what $4,500 for the '68. Yeah, it's still going strong. Knock wood. But I changed the fluid in it and stuff, and I maintain it quite. Stay on top of the maintenance on it pretty good. I change the fluid in it about every 3 years. I don't usually go by mileage because you just each year's different in amount of mileage. Hey, John. What did you recently buy there, Eric? Sorry for my messy basement background. Thanks, ASO. Yeah. Believe it or not, a lot of that's books and magazines, and I'm like a freaking book and magazine hoarder. The Firebird ASO. Yeah, it's getting there. I did a lot of work to it today. It's an epoxy primer now. I got to do a video. I've just been kind of just jamming. I have a habit of just going out and not taking a camera with me, but I'll go out tomorrow. Take a video. We did that, and then we realigned the doors on it because the doors were all out of whack. Had to adjust the window on the passenger side and get that right. Just like little crap, just to get ahead of stuff. Basically, I got to do the doors, well, the passenger door, because it got hammered, and I did kind of a half-assed job of fixing it the last time, so it's not too far off. So I should be able to get that straightened out, and then the driver's door has a little bit of Kmart rash in it. Just fix that, and then just sand her down, put it in primer, block it out, and paint it. Won't be any show car, but it won't. It's not going to be rusty. That's for sure. Be a whole lot solider than it was before. I just want to get it done so I can get it out and start driving it. I just want to make sure everything's going to be cool. Yeah, 50 pounds lighter. I'm going to use single stage ASO. Because paint's expensive enough. And if I go 2-stage, it's gonna bump. It's gonna be probably close to $1,000 just in the paint materials. Yeah, it'd be a nice street car, Mopar nut. That's all I want. I don't want a show car. I just want something I can drive. And just want something that looks decent. I mean, it might have some wrinkles here and there that we might have missed, but that gives it character. $250 for two-stage. Where are you getting that from? Yeah, single stage just looks a little bit more correct on older cars. My Chevelle's base coat, clear coat, but I didn't paint that. Somebody did that. I mean, it doesn't look bad in that because of the color. Hell, that car's been painted almost 30 years. The Chevelle's been painted. What's that? Yeah, I'm on the thing. You're in camera too. Oh my God. Your reflection's in the TV set. You're out of here. We'll see how good of a painter I am, ASO. I've painted a few times with the spray gun, but we'll see how it goes. I'm sure the paint job might not be that stellar. I'm more worried about tiger stripes than anything. I figure orange peel or anything else we could always wet sand and buff out. But I'm going to paint it brown again because I'm too lazy to take the car apart and do the jam. So okay. Yeah, I know, Rich, and I painted that with spray cans, which a lot of people can't believe that I did that. That I painted that whole front clip with spray cans. Thanks, AOS or ASO. Yeah, people just couldn't. I told a couple of people that, Rich, that I painted the front end with spray cans, and they were like, "Wow." They didn't really believe me, and then I was like, "Seriously, I did." So kind of amazing it looks as good as it does. That's actually held up well because that's been done 3 years. And I'm kind of surprised at how well all that held up, being it was a spray can. I'm kind of impressed with. I didn't even think it would last quite that long. Yeah, a lot of work trying to get that thing done. Is it? Tim Zimmer, what's up, man? How's things in Arizona, buddy? Need vintage air. Tired of sweating in the old Chevy. Shouldn't be too bad. Is it bad at nighttime out there? Because every time I went to Arizona, I always went like in. I always went out to Arizona like around February. Nice. Thanks, Tim. A lot of work, man. Yeah, that's why we always went in February. It was crappy here and it was beautiful out there. And my buddy lived in Tucson. So we would go out to Tucson and stay with him for a week, and then we would go hang out. Okay. Yeah, I'll hit you up. You gonna come out to one of the Lebanon cruises, Tim? Okay. Oh, it's the following week. Okay. I can't keep up with any of this stuff. I've been so focused on getting the Firebird done. Yeah, Duck Creek drags are in Tucson. At that time, they weren't. That was back in the late 90s. Yeah, in October. I've been to Firebird Dragway up in Phoenix, up near Phoenix. I went to Firebird, but I didn't go to Southwestern in Tucson. I like it out there. Of course, the summer's probably way too hot for anything. Closing soon. What are they shutting down? Firebird or Southwestern? Nice. Not having a good time, their first responder. I know adjusting those things is just crazy. Due to a casino. Really? Oh my God. Now, is this Firebird in Phoenix or outside of Phoenix? Wow, because that's where Skip, what the heck's that guy's name that does all the race driving school? Isn't that where he did that? Okay, now it's called Wild Horse Pass. Okay. Same place. Okay. Wow. What is it with closing drag strips? I'm telling you. And then they wonder why they got a street race problem. Ridiculous. So if you live in Phoenix, the closest track you can go to is in Tucson, which is probably what, an hour and a half away or 2 hours away, because that's on the other side of Tucson. And Tucson proper is like 30 miles. Wow. That just sucks. Man. Easier to go out on those frontal roads. Those frontal roads, or go out in the damn desert and run. Oh man. Put the bracket right over the return line. Jeez. Yeah. Lots of those, that's for sure, Tim. Hell, you go out in the desert a couple miles and nobody's around. How's the Chevelle running, Tim? Pretty good with the big block. I saw your video with your burnout. That was, looks like it's running pretty strong. Yeah, don't you love how they designed that stuff first? It kind of makes you wonder what they're thinking. Nice. Yeah, 12:19. You're not too far off the mark. Now, what's lighter? Is the 60 lighter or is the Chevelle lighter? Oh, recovering the rear seat. I need to get my Chevelle up to the track one of these days. I just haven't had. I need sticky tires, and I just need to get time to do it. And I just never seem to find any. 4,100. Wow. I didn't think that 60 would be that heavy. And hell, that's what, a Biscayne, right, or Bel Air? Because that's a postcard. I thought that'd be a lightweight. Yeah, don't you love it? First, something so simple takes so long to do. and it just turns into a nightmare. I know that feeling all too well. Yeah, I've been looking at those American racers, Tim. I've never weighed my Chevelle. I don't know what it would weigh. I'm thinking it probably weighs close to 4,000 pounds with the factory air, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty piggy. It's not a lightweight, that's for sure. No, I'm thinking it's probably heavier than 38. I'm thinking it's probably closer to 39 or 4. But I could be wrong. I don't know. I scaled the Firebird, and the Firebird was 36 and change with me in it. So I just got to sneak down to the scale late one night because there's a scale down here at one of the packing plants, and it's right off the main road. You can just pull right in and kind of sneak in. 4,500. Damn. That's pretty heavy too, first. But sometimes heavy cars run good. Sometimes the engine likes that load on it. And sometimes they run better when they got a load on them. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of like the place where we got. I just haven't snuck down. I snuck the Firebird down one night, but I haven't done the Chevelle. I got to pay a little bit of attention to the Chevelle. God, I haven't really even driven it hardly. Yeah. You're lucky you didn't get nailed by DOT. Yeah. Yeah, they're about 4,000 pounds, Rich. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking going to be probably pretty close to 4,000. Wow. 1,000-pound toolbox. I like El Caminos, Eric, and GMC Sprints are kind of cool because they're just kind of rare, you know. That was a 71 and up thing. You just don't see, especially the SPs, because that's their super sport, and they're different, which is pretty cool. My wife doesn't like El Caminos; she hates them. She thinks they're ugly. So chances of me ever owning an El Camino slim to none. But yeah, I like El Caminos. Yeah, she doesn't like them. Rancheros too. She don't care for them. I like Rancheros too. I don't like the Falcon style Rancheros or the Fairlane. I like the Torino, like the 68 and up ones. I wasn't a big fan of the 66 and 67 Fairlanes. Yeah, El Caminos are they're pretty different. You can't interchange like the fenders, the headlight bezels, a lot of that stuff. You like those two the best, Tim? 68 and 70. Yeah. Yeah, the Rampage. The Dodge Omni with the back hacked off. Kind of like the Volkswagen version, the Rabbit. Remember those things? Yeah, same as the wagons. Yeah, it even has if you look under the smuggler's box, it even has the footwells for where the people would put their feet in them because they use the same floor pan, I think, as the four doors or the wagons. But yeah, everything's different. Like the front clip is, you can't use the fenders on a Chevelle off an El Camino because they're different. They're actually narrower. And they also have like a little flare in them and stuff. A lot of differences people don't know about. The dashes are actually different. They don't, if it was a non-air car, they don't have a vent on the passenger side in the dash. Oh yeah, Eric. I don't know of any Sprints around here. They're just a rare. You just rarely ever see them. Because I guess they probably didn't sell that many. I imagine the production number on those things was pretty low, being 71 and up only. It's just kind of funny how GMC decided they needed their own little El Camino type thing. Oh yeah, I know the production numbers were pretty low on them. Even the non SP cars, the SPs are pretty rare. Oh God, the Fairmont. The sad thing about the Fairmont is it's a Fox body car, but God, they're just so ugly. But everything off a Mustang pretty much fits on them, kind of like ASO's Thunderbird. The Durango. Hmm. It would have been easy to do. Just take a Fairmont wagon and hack the roof off of it. That was Marty's dad that was calling me. I'll have to call him back then. Nice. Yeah, that's right. The little mid-size LTDs. I remember those were Fox bodies. Also, they also made what was the GLX version of those? It was like a hopped up version because they made those in police cars too. Oh wow. Well, that's pretty neat. I bet that's interesting with the bed, and then you got those great big fins on the back. Nice. Bet a lot of work put went into that. Hey, what the heck were those LTDs called there? I thought they were GLXs or something. Okay, Tim, you have a good one. I'll try and catch up with you in August, man. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was like an wasn't an LX, it was an GLX. It was something because it came with different 15-inch wheels and different handling package and stuff. But I think they had the 302s with the CFI in them. They weren't the Mustang engines, unfortunately, and they weren't carbureted. I think they had that central fuel injection deal on them, that throttle body thing. They were pretty cool cars. I think a kid around here had one when I was in high school. I actually ran pretty cool, good. I mean, those cars weren't very heavy to begin with. Basically, just a gussied up Fairmont. Oh, okay. Ford had some pretty cool things back then. I had an '86 5-liter Mustang. I liked that car. That car was actually really reliable, and it ran really good. It was black with red interior, which was kind of cool because now you can't even get cars with interior colors. Period. But it was a nice car. And like a dumbass, I sold it and I sold that and bought an '81 Z28. And the Z28 was a slug. Oh yeah, you had a Turbo Bird. No, the '86s didn't have the body kits, Eric. That was the 4i. '87 GTs had the body kits. '86 was the last year that didn't. That well, was the last year for the 4i cars. I always wondered how those turbo T-Birds ran, Rich. I always liked the SVO Mustangs. I always thought they were sharp looking cars. I often wondered how good they ran because I guess what '86 was what 200. That was the last year for them. 205 horse. Had a little 4-cylinder. I always liked the spoiler on them. I thought it was that 2-tier spoiler was pretty cool. Did you send a pic to Marty? Yeah, the SVO had the same engines as the Turbo Birds. That was a good engine. Those little 2.3s worked pretty good. Yeah, the Superbird, the SC T-Birds with the supercharger. They made those in the Cougars too, but the Cougars are a little bit rarer. It's kind of amazing how many iterations of that 2.3 they had, and God, they started that engine what in '74 in the Mustang, and they went from turbocharged and fuel injected. As my mom had an '87 Mustang with a 2.3 in it. It ran good. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a carbureted. That was carbureted. I wonder how did that run, Eric? That's like the pace car Mustangs. They were 4-cylinder turbocharged. I think they used turbochargers in them up until what, '82, before the GT. Because I think those were all, because the pace cars were turbocharged. You could get a V8 in them too, I think, but it was only a 2-barrel. But I think the first iteration of those was carbureted, 2.3 turbos. Capris are kind of rare. You know what? '86 was the last year for the Capris. They had that big bulgy back window. I never really cared for that. I always thought that looked kind of goofy. It almost looked like almost like a fastback on a fastback with the big bubbly window. Almost like an Aero Coupe that I'm such a big fan of. Yeah, they were overhead. Marty, what's going on, man? So you just looked at another. Is that the guy from work you were talking about? $1,000. Subframe connectors, Pro Stars. Wow. Is there an engine in it, Marty, or is it just a roller? So what are you going to do? It runs. 305 Posi. Cage. Damn. So what are you going to do? Are you going to buy it? You're going to become the third gen whisperer. Save all these third gen Camaros, Marty. That's not bad though if it runs and all that cage and Posi rear and everything. And no, you're not buying it. That's a killer deal though. Is it a Z or is it just a regular Camaro or Sport Coupe or Bernaletta or something? Nice. Maybe Riley should buy it and add it to his collection. Wow. Key-top car yet. How's the T-bar? Is that rusty or is that still good shape? Yeah. Well, I guess you can't have everything, huh? Yeah, I know. I know, man. Mirrored shades and fuzzy dice. How about a mullet? Blue face racing seat. Because race car, huh? It's got a racing seat, so it's a race car. Are you? Okay. Did you find out any information on it, Marty? Is it a V8 T5? Okay, cool. So maybe it's more of an upgraded one. $400. Shit. Now you just got to figure out how to adapt it to the 350 then. Yeah. I just don't know what you can do with clutch because I think those are hydraulic. And I don't know. I guess you could probably. I think the slave cylinder just bolts to the bell housing. Put the 3.8 supercharged engine. What out of the Fiero? Is he parting the Fiero out now? What happened to the Honda deal? Didn't the guy want to trade for it? Yeah, with a small pulley, it would really that would work good. Imagine that with a manual trans. They never offered those supercharged engines with manual transits, did they? I don't think they did. Oh, that was the GM show, Marty. Since I didn't make it up there, I have a feeling I heard that it was pretty sparse. Is anybody even selling any parts after all the rain on Friday? I was going to go up yesterday, but then I saw the weather report and I was like, nah, I'm not even. I wasn't even going to waste the money. It's kind of made me mad that the weekend was pretty much shot in the ass. Worth going with small. Yeah, I saw the pictures Riley had. Didn't look like there was a whole lot of cars there, really, unless a lot of them left. A lot of parts vendors or so. See you, Colleen. Have a good week. No, I didn't see that. Yard surfing. What'd you do? Put a video up of it? I have to check it out then, Marty. Is he still driving it with the screwed up transmission in it? Rev limiter the whole time. Nice. Yeah, the weather really killed it. I wanted to go up, Rich, but Friday it just rained all day. I had the day off. I just stayed home. I didn't do anything. And then yesterday I was going to go up and I looked at the weather and I looked at the long range radar and a bunch of storms were going to be rolling in. So I was like, heck with it. So I ended up running out to one place and picked up sandpaper and some more supplies and stuff to work on the Firebird. So, and it even rained today. I didn't think it was supposed to rain today. We pulled the car out and started sanding on it and started raining on us. So, yeah, it wasn't really even worth the aggravation to pull the car out. Really? You still didn't get your head gasket yet, Marty? Good grief. Weren't they supposed to be here, what, Thursday? Who'd you get them from, Summit? For some reason, me and Summit just don't get along. Although they did send me the correct trunk drop offs, amazingly enough. So what are you getting? Just bumpers up there at Carlisle, Rich? Or are you looking for some other stuff for the Challenger? Yeah, we keep forgetting to get that 318 out of there. I just thought of that. Good grief. All right, Marty, I'll talk to you later. Looking for more. Yeah, we still got to get over to Tom's ex-wife's and get that engine. Yeah, I don't know. I might call him back, Marty. I saw that he called and left a message. I didn't call him back last night because I got done eating, and as soon as I got done, he wanted to know what was going on, and then all of a sudden it started to pour down rain. So I figured, heck with it. Not going to be really doing much anyways because and then it was just a crappy night. So, but I'll probably call him back. I'm probably going to be getting off here in probably about a half an hour. So I'll give him a buzz if he's still awake. Yeah, we'll get it out for you, Rich. We just keep forgetting about it. So much crap going on. Okay. Yeah, ever since Christmas, things have just been really screwed up on my end of things. So a lot of family stuff going on. So everything seems to be kind of squaring itself away. So we'll see. But yeah, we definitely want to get that engine out there for you. Do you have an 8 3/4 in that, Rich? Or is that an 8 1/4 rear in that Challenger? I think he told me it was an 8 3/4. I don't remember. Yeah, 8 3/4. Okay. Well, that's cool. Now you don't have to go find one. Tom's been trying to sell his 8 1/4 out of his Coronet. Hell, he can't even give that thing away. I don't know why nobody wants it. It's B body, so I don't know. It's probably too wide to fit an A body car. I would have thought some Jeep guy would want it or something. Hey, Mark, what's up? Highway gears in it. You can put a set of 323s in it. That'll work pretty nice. Yeah, they had what, 3 different casings? What, 741, 742, and 489? I guess the 741 and the 489 are the more desirable ones. The 742 is I guess, the weaker one of them all. The 489 is what they use the most in muscle cars. That's supposed to be the one to get. Oh, you have a 489 case. Cool. I think it's a difference in opinion. The pinion is actually, it has different sizes of pinion, and I think the 489 has the biggest. 49 cases have the bigger pinion bearing and the bigger pinion shaft. So Mark, the old Belvedere's looking pretty good with them big meats on the back of it. They're still in here. Just woke up. Oh, geez. Did you have a long shift? Yeah, 8.8 is actually a pretty strong rear. You find those in those Explorers and stuff in the junkyard. They got disc brakes and everything on them, and they're not a big power killer like the 9-inch is. Is it? The only drawback to the 8.8s is, aren't they C-clip axles? I get, you can probably buy the kits from Strange or uh, Moser, I guess, and put the bolt-in ends on it. Put bolt-in bearings. Use the 9-inch bearing. Yeah, because they're what, 28 spline, the 8.8s. I thought 28 spline. Nice. Okay. Make your own. I thought about doing an 8.8 swap on the Firebird, to be honest with you, because I just can't find a decent rear. I mean, the Pontiac rear I can get, it's a 323. I can get a posi unit for it, but they're not overly strong to begin with. The axles aren't the greatest things in the world in them either. And by the time I buy a posi rear or the posi carrier, and then I get a set of axles, I'm going to be, almost $1,000 into the whole deal. And hell, for another $500 or $600, I can buy a 12 bolt, or I could go up to the junkyard and pull an 8.8. I just have to measure out the width and stuff. I know a lot of guys that have done swaps on Camaros and stuff like that, put 8.8s in. Nice, Mark. That looks good. Awesome. It's coming together. Have you run the jack pine at all, or Mark? Have you gotten out to the track yet? I don't know if you got any track time or anything. Nice. Oh, still got that small radiator in it then. So you're hanging with the Backwoods boys with that with their 66. That's a pretty neat car, that 426 wedge car. Yeah. That way you're not puking all over the place. And yeah, I enjoy watching your videos. I like that car. I think it's kind of cool. They're kind of just keeping it the way it is. Wouldn't race you for pinks though. That's just a neat car all around, that 426 wedge. I never even thought that they even made a 426 wedge in a Hornet in 66. I didn't even know that was an option. I know 65 it was, and I know it was in the Furies and stuff, but I didn't know it was in 66. I guess it was just like a one-off type deal with Mr. Norm. That's pretty neat that they got one. I'm sure there's purists out there that are going freaking berserk in their head because they're not restoring it to 1,000-point show car. But not everything needs to be a 1,000-point show car. That's kind of cool that it has that history. Kind of like your car, Mark. Why would you want to restore that back to original? It is. Yeah, it's cool just being an old drag car. Yeah, exactly. First responder. Yeah, there's going to be some history of my car still left on it when I'm on the Firebird when I'm done. It's not going to be. I'm not completely erasing it, so there's going to be stuff that was acceptable back in the day. Yeah, no, that's a 4-speed too. It's just a shame that the original engine got blown up, but I mean, I'm sure they can find a 426 wedge or make their own. Thanks, First. It's a lot of work. It won't be perfect when it's done, but it's going to be a whole lot nicer than it was before. At least it won't be all rusty. It'll be a lot more solid, which is what I was kind of going for. I'm not trying to build a show car. I just want something I can cruise and drive and have look halfway decent. Just the fact that it's solid and has metal on it is an improvement over what it was. Yeah, I know, Marky. I know you love the Firebird. Yeah, it is nice to cruise around in. It actually runs pretty strong. I'm actually kind of impressed with it. That stock 350 actually runs pretty decent for what it is. And I really didn't do it. All I did was put an intake and carbon dual exhaust on it, and it woke it up pretty good. Now remember, now Mark, I'm delivering the Firebird to you at the No Names. So you get the Firebird, I get the truck, trailer, and the jack pine. Remember, that was our deal. Remember. Plus, I get some frites. You got to throw in some frites too. The only problem with the Firebird is it doesn't have power steering, which kind of sucks, and it's got a real slow ratio in it. So after I get the paintwork done, I want to put. Evidently, they make an improved steering box for it that's a 16-to-1 ratio, and I guess it uses a ball bearing instead of bushings or something. I guess it's supposed to be less effort, and it's supposed to be a closer ratio. So instead of going into a turn and having my hands like this, maybe I'll just be going into a turn like this. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, I do. I run the hell out of both of my cars. I drive them everywhere. I'm driving the Firebird, and I want to get the Firebird done because I'm going to drive it to the No Names. I know you're the Freets master. Yeah, that's the plan. I'm going to take the Firebird to the No Names, and then when I come back from the No Names, 4 day, what? I come back from the No Name, I'll be back. Well, I go back to work on Monday, and I'll work 4 days, and then I leave for um, cruising the coast in Gulfport, Mississippi. So then I load up the Chevy, and then I run the Chevelle down to Gulfport. So trying to stretch the mileage out between both the cars. So unless something happens between now and then in the Firebird and it doesn't go to the No Names, then I'll drive the Chevy. And then I'll just put all the mileage on the Chevelle, which doesn't matter to me. We got to hit Jay's Chicken when we go to at the No Names, Mark. That's a must. Oh. How's the Power Wagon coming, Mark? Have you worked on it at all? Nice. Single lane 180 turns. Nice. You got to use a separate pedal instead of like a handbrake. I know a lot of guys use the rally cars use like a handbrake. Yeah, I was just wondering if you got that 440 or messed with that 440 going to Power Wagon. Because like you got the bell housing, didn't you? For the big block. I thought you had told me that you got that. Okay. Nice. Yeah, that way you just use your foot. You don't have to worry about dealing with your hands, and you can just keep it on the wheel. Okay. Hmm. That'd be kind of cool in the snow too, wouldn't it? Okay. Yeah, it's hard to end a live with Marty. I'm gonna end it here in about 10 or 15 minutes. Well, that's cool, Mark. You got all the parts together for it. Now it's just getting time and money to put it all together. That's a cool truck. I like those old Power Wagons. I need to get a damn truck in the worst possible way. I always using Tom's. I need to get one of my own. No. Are you serious? You think that thing would make it? Hey, not a problem, first responder. It was just kind of a spur of the moment thing. I didn't put anything on the community page. I just jumped on and figured, well, what the hell, I'll just do one. It probably will make it. If it's anything like my old Ford was, Marty, the engine was so worn out, it just wouldn't even blow itself up. I mean, it just kept running and running and running and running. It just kept dumping oil and motor honey and Marlboro Mystery Oil and Restore and whatever else you could find on the shelf that looked like an all-cure miracle drug. Yeah, my truck wasn't good on gas. Mine was a pig. I used a lot of radiator, a dump bars leak, silver solder. That was the chemical machine. I just go in there and just buy up anything that looked like it might. Well, let's see if this crap works. Yeah, that's the funny part. It probably will make it. I drove my truck for 8 years and it never come apart. And I could grab the fan and set the points just by spinning the fan around because I had no compression. Yeah. Yeah, you can put all the tools in the bag. Needs to put stacks on it, though. You got to put stacks on it before you come. Yeah, pepper works good for that. You know what else works good, first responder? Egg whites. You can crack an egg and you take the yolk out and just use the egg whites and pour it in, and that'll plug holes too in radiators. Black pepper does too. That's awesome when that old school stuff does that too. Works. It's like cleaning points. If you got a set of points that are worn out, if you rub a nickel through them, the nickel will rub off on the contacts and it'll fill the pits in the points. And then after you do that, you take a dollar bill and you run the dollar bill through the points, because the dollar bill actually clean the points because of how the dollar bill is, and now you can clean the points out. My buddy had a satellite and he never wanted to put points in it. I don't know how many times I rubbed the nickel through the damn thing to keep the car going, and it worked. It would last for a month or two, and then it'd start carrying on again. I'd rub the nickel through it again, reset the points, and after a while, it just gets, you just got to fix it. Yeah, if you bring just the stupid stuff, Marty, you should be good. Nice. Wow. He does some nice work, doesn't he, Mark? And that thing's going to be strong inside. Yeah, you got to put stacks on it, man. Yeah, I don't know how many times I got cars running just by rubbing the nickel through the points. sometimes it's just enough to get it to run. I mean, it doesn't run good, but you know. All right, Marty, I'll see you. But sometimes it's enough just to get it to run. My old man was a mechanic, so he has all this old crap that you used to do back in, the old time stuff. So. Yeah, Jeff does nice work, Mark. That's looking really good. That's going to be a nice car when it's done. Another trick, first responder, because back in the day they didn't have Molly rings and stuff, and if the rings didn't seat, what they would do is they would take Bonami cleanser and just sprinkle it down the carburetor while it was running. And what that would do, it would help the rings seat in the cylinders, because it's kind of coarse, kind of like almost dumping sand on it. But they would do that to help seat the rings. I've never ever tried that, so we have that modern thing called Molly now that we don't have to worry about kind of stuff like that. But back in the day, chrome rings and stuff like that were, the hot setup. And sometimes you just couldn't get them to seat. That was how they did it. They would take some Jet Bonami cleaner, sprinkle it down the carburetor to get the rings to seat. Well, I've almost been on 2 hours, guys. I think I'm going to hop off. And I will catch you all on the next live. Yeah, Rich, I'll see you then. I'll see you at the Chrysler show Friday afternoon. Yeah, we'll be looking for you. We'll have Tom's Cornet, and I think Dave's going to the orange Charger. I think Dave's going to be bringing up his Charger too, but maybe not till Saturday. So, but all right, guys. I'll see everybody later.